Alrighty, hello everybody and welcome back to Jay's One Key event for The Great Escape. We are on the B stream channel as we have another match happening on the main channel. So if you're tuning into the B stream, hello. But we are going to be tapping back into our round of 16 weekend on this lovely Sunday, wrapping things up here. And we're going to start things off with a loser's bracket match. It's going to be Lazozoian versus Never. And I believe also the main stream is also a loser's bracket match. That is Crustbell versus Decinias. So if you want to check that one out as well, that is on the main stream. As for me, I am Arasani, and I will be writing solo for this match. And I mean, what's there really much to say for these two players? Lazozoian knocked in the winners round of 32. Very strong in that LN department, so probably going to try their hardest to prioritize those more long note based charts, while maybe avoiding some of the more heavier stuff like more denser rice. Probably just going to avoid the speed maps entirely. There's not really any bans in this tournament, so it's going to be a bit harder to avoid those kinds of maps, but you can definitely pull it off. As for Never, I believe it's almost the same story for them. Yeah, they do excel very well in pretty much almost everything, just they lack a bit in that speed department. They do show off, however, that 991K on period. Very strong performances in the rice department, and as well as just everything overall. Just speed, not really their most comfortable skill set, or just anything really physical overall. So without further ado, I'm sure these players are getting things underway with this match. As we are heading into the rolls, the Zozoian will get the first pick of the litter here as they rolled first. And gonna be interesting to see what they go for here. I would not be surprised if we immediately jump into an LN map, such as maybe LN1. But we're gonna have to wait and see. And asking their opponent, do you prefer speed or LNs? And I guess they're rolling for their LN pick, so it will be LN2. I mean, not LN2, LN1, whoops, for this pick here, as per request from the roll command. And getting things underway here. Honestly, this definitely makes sense for a player like Liz Zozoian. I feel they're going to stay in this range and not really dive further into the into many other departments. I don't think. I mean, maybe the more LN-oriented hybrid could see a pick come out. Flakes is quite a difficult LN chart, so if Zozoian does not feel comfortable on a map like that, they probably will try their best to avoid it, but it's going to be interesting to see how this one will go. As, like I mentioned, Never is also pretty strong in all of the departments of all up on the board here, so they could put up a fight here. And opening up the starting of this match is Zozoian with just a little bit of an accuracy lead. This map, fairly long, so that combo cap won't really be a standing, like a real outstander for these maps, as even if a player finds some form of slip up, they do have a lot of map to really catch up here. And right now, Zozoyan is doing an excellent job keeping that accuracy in place, keeping their combo up very well. Almost at the 600 combo cap, but never, not too far behind as well. It's just they need to get that accuracy component up here. And as this map progresses more, you're seeing a lot more of these gallops, these LN gallops alongside a release here, kind of like a shield, pretty much. And I mean, it takes just one slip up from any of these players here on maybe just not releasing in time for that LN, or just maybe holding down a bit too long for just one singular slider break or a miss. And both these players trading 200s here as we are about to near the back half here of the map. Zozoyan with roughly 8,000 points of difference, so they could take a miss here depending on the severity of the miss. If it's a very clean break, they could walk away with maybe around 4,000 points in their pocket, but they really need to walk with caution, as Never is just like ready to pull the rug at any moment given. And oh, whoa, both players trading breaks here, but Zozoyan picks up an extra miss as we head into the more LN streams here. These then that's what I said earlier, these like little releases after the end of just these long, kind of almost, you can treat them as rice kind of deal here. Zozoyan does pick up an extra break, but they're still in that 99 department, unlike Never, who dropped down to a mid 98 range, but yet has that misadvantage only by one miss. But Zozoyan needs to find more accuracy drops, and there's one from Zozoyan that will shrink the lead down to 9,000 points, but there is still map left to go, and Never can slowly claw things back here as they're over the combo cap. That's what I was saying earlier, that once these maps start to reach the tail end, combo was really going to play a role in this later half. And Zozoyan, they're only holding on by sheer accuracy. They cannot take any more drops, and as long as they keep their FC remaining, well, at least their combo for the rest of the map, then they should be fine. But 9,000 points may sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but when it's only one note or one key, it can be the deal breaker if it comes down to one miss. And Zozoyan will hold on, even if it looked dicey near the end, and will pick up the first point and a break point as well. Yeah, as you can see, very, very close near the end here. Never actually tying, both players getting one miss here. It was just that Zozoyan found a couple more slider breaks and just more slider breaks, or just 50s in compared to Never, as Never did find a bit more of those other judgments, more 200s, more 100s here. A very solid score from both sides of the spectrum here. And here comes Rice 2 now out from Never. And I feel like this would be a very good pick. I would assume it's a more swingy type map, so it's pretty easy to get the gimmick down on this map in contrast to the other two Rice picks. So this definitely makes sense for Never. As we were saying, or as I was saying, Never is very strong in the more light Rice. I wouldn't be surprised if they won't take a gamble on something like the beginning, as it's a bit more physical. This map isn't that bad to play. But here we go, underway with Rice 2. Right, you can really see with these more swing-based maps, it could be a bit, yeah. And I was just going to say, it is a lot harder to find these transitions more easy to flow through with these swing-based maps, especially with these snap changes. And that will catch up Zozoyan. They did pick up a 100 earlier, and now a miss. This lead has already ballooned by roughly 10,000 points in favor of Never. And this map, roughly the same length as LN1, so combo won't really play that much of a matter. But once we get down to the nitty-gritty of the map, near the ending, that's where things will matter the most. But never managing to really keep things in their own way now. 22,000 points in their favor as Zozoyan does find a couple more bad judgments here, but never. 99.76, really putting the pedal to the metal here as we near exit the first half of this map. Zozoyan up to that 400 combo cap. It's just going to come down to accuracy alone, and right now it is never by a long shot here, as they are almost a whole percentage ahead of Zozoyan right now. But there is still plenty of map left to go, and all it takes is just a couple breaks from never. And like I said, these swing-based maps are really hard to transition in and out of these doublets into these more longer like streams here. And if a snap change does occur, that is also a whole different story. Really difficult to transition in and out if you are not careful. But so far, Never has really just played things safe here, and ahead by almost 30,000 points heading into our final quarter of the map here. Zozoyan has climbed back up to the 99 marker, but as I said, they find a combo break, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to swing things now even more if it hasn't already, to almost 40,000 points in favor of Never, as heading into our final eighth of the map. Even if something catastrophic were to happen with these final notes here, I don't think it would really matter, as Never has just absolutely demolished this chart. Almost a 99.8. They might be able to reach it if they get a lot of 320s here. It's, oh man, just almost at the 99.8 mark, and that's, whoa, okay. I thought that was a V1SS. No, only 1-200 on the side of Never. Very good score for them, as they will tie things up and win off their own pick here. And commiserations to Zozoyan, really trying their hardest. Unfortunately, it was just those transitions that really got the best of them here. But it is their pick, so I feel for Zozoyan, they could stick to their guns here. And actually, they're going to go for speed too. Interesting pick. Interesting pick from Zozoyan. I was saying how speed was probably going to be avoided the most, just because it's insanely, like, both these players not really finding the comfort in the more denser rice parts. But Zozoyan just gonna flip this match on its head and gonna try to give it a shot. I mean, who knows? We know something that, or maybe these players know something that we don't. So just gonna wait and see how this one will play out. And to give you just an update on the A stream match right now, Desinius is up 0-2 against Crustbell at the moment. But Crustbell actually just took a point off of Desinius, off of, I believe that was Hybrid 2 they just took a point off of. So it is 1-2 over on the A stream. And here we go, snapping back into the B stream here. One of these players will go up 2-1 here on this pick right here. We're currently at a best of 7 situation, and Never going to pick up the first break here, a very early one. So won't really play a giant role here, but that, I mean, if they continue to find these trends of these breaks on these more complicated speed patterns, then it can really be disastrous for them. But I mean, like I said, both these players don't really find much comfort in these speed picks, and if these exceed the more physical limits of what these players can handle, then it can be very catastrophic. And right now we can see both players really finding some struggling here, but Zozoyan and Never starting to get their ground now, but Never really finding uncomfort on these more very fast gallops here, while Zozoyan is really just treating this as a cakewalk here, more or less. Just being able to hit these bursts is pretty much all they need, and Never just a bit too fast for them here, as they're already down in the near 92% range here. But there is still plenty of map left to go, so it's not entirely over for any of these players just yet. But it's just a bit of an alarming start for Never, as it's already 100,000 points of difference between these two. And Never finding a bit of drops here on the break section. Bit interesting. But here come more of these elongated streams here, clocking in at 2.4, I believe. I think this is actually just 120, or maybe 240, I have no idea. Someone can crunch the numbers. But Zozoyan really putting things in full gear here, as they're almost at 200,000 points of difference of lead here. At the 99 mark is a bit concerning. I will say that. That is a crazy score coming out of Zozoyan right now. But there is still map left to go, but it's starting to close out. There's only a quarter of the map left to go here. And it is about 6% of differences now. But both players finding breaks here on these more awkward awkward doublets and streams. But I think won't really matter, as it is a 200,000 point difference, and Never, even though they're trying their hardest to just have a sign of life on their side, Zozoyan has just been oh so consistent throughout the entire map, and heading down to the final 100k points of the map, it is going to be Zozoyan coming out on top here with a commanding 235,000 point leads in their favor, now just over 236k, and with that they will take a 2-1 lead, and only a singular miss. That could be a slider break as well for the 150, but still, one miss from Zozoyan is a bit frightening, nearing the 99 marker as well. And Never really trying the hardest here, but unfortunately the map was just a bit too fast for them here, as it's now their pick though, so they can go with what they feel like. I think maybe Rice 3 could be what comes out here, either Rice 3 or maybe one of the hybrids. I don't see a world where maybe Rice 1 could come up. And we're gonna see Rice 3, which makes sense. I don't think Rice 1 would be a very good opportunity for Never, as it is probably one of the harder Rice picks we have here. But here we go. Just to give you an update on how the Crustbell and Desinius match was. I actually made an error. It's not 2-1 for Desinius. It's actually 4-0 on their side. The ref just kind of put the match input in wrong. So Desinius is on the brink of a sweep here against Crustbell. I believe they're about to enter, or they're in what could potentially be the last map of that match here, which for them is LN, I believe LN1. So anyway, back to this match. Heading into Race 3, one of our longest picks of the pool, almost 4 minutes long. And it's going to be just an absolute consistency battle between these two. They've had each other by the necks pretty much almost this entire match. And these Rice picks have been pretty close. It just can never beat out Zozoyan in that ratio component. And right now, I mean, Never is behind by just a tad bit, but nothing really too much to write home about. Still plenty of map left to go. But could be just a bit concerning to open things right out of the get-go here. But anyway, continuing on forward with this map here, Never will actually get the first lead of this map here by just a sliver, 1,000 points in their favor. 99.7 for them, as Zozoyan not too far behind, roughly almost a 1/10 of a percentage just behind Never here. As both these players just trying their hardest to avoid these 200s, avoid any form of error to really give their opponent a boost here. And they have been doing it very well here so far. It's just about a 1/10 of a percentage difference, only about 1,000 points in favor of Never. And here we go. No one finding any form of error, and now that is a 3-digit point gap between these two. But Zozoyan, I believe, found a couple 200s here, as that will start to balloon this lead to Never by just the tiniest of margins. Nothing too much, but there's a break from Zozoyan, and now this lead, 3,000 points in favor of Never. 99.4 for them as we head into the final third of the map, into the solo here. But now that lead's starting to shrink, actually. Only about 1,000 points, but a couple 200s are dropped on the side of Zozoyan. It's now 2,000 points in favor of Never. But Never, I didn't even realize that break they picked up. So, a little bit of a delayed trade there, but it's still favoring Never just off of pure accuracy. But technically, Zozoyan could have the advantage here if they hit that 400 combo cap, but Never is just a bit behind on that as well, so they won't be getting, so they will be pretty close next up for that 400 combo cap range if they can hold on. But here we go, the 400 combo cap has been reached. That score will begin to flicker on the side of Zozoyan. They really need to keep things in check here. They cannot afford anything, and Never now with the accuracy deficit now by roughly 200 of a percentage. That is 500 points in favor of Zozoyan. It's now flickering back and forth, but Zozoyan starting to get a bit of a concrete lead here. But there's a break from Never, and just like that, Zozoyan, what once was a 3-digit point difference, balloons now to 15,000 points. Never crumbles under the pressure, and unfortunately, I think that's enough unless Zozoyan just finds something catastrophic at these final notes here, in which they won't. And what was absolutely just back and forth this entire match, this entire map, it was unfortunate Never picking up 4 misses in one section will flip the script in favor of Zozoyan and will take a break point here and make things 3-1 now. Wow, that was an insane map. And also, just an update on the other match of Crustbelt and Decinius. Decinius has taken that match as a sweep, 5-0, as they will be moving on to the losers quarterfinals. and we'll verse Jackson next weekend. But here we go now for our pick here on Zozoid. It's actually going to be Speed 1. I mean, seeing how Speed 2 went for them, not really surprising um, for them here, as maybe they're going to try to see if they can capitalize off of that break point here and make things a match point situation here. It's roughly the same as Speed 2. Lots of those LNs, lots of just pure chaos being thrown at you here. But, I mean, yeah, seeing how the previous Speed pick went, I'm not surprised of Zozoian's decision to go for this map. But we're going to see how it can play off here and potentially put things at a match point situation. Here we go. And whoa, Zozoian having a bit of a rough beginning here, but same as Never, so no harm, no foul here. And it was actually Never who found a break. So Zozoian will have a bit of an advantage with just not finding any form of breaks, and Never finding an extra one as well, finding another. And this is the same pattern we saw in Speed 2 a few picks ago, where Never just struggled to keep that combo in cap, as just this map was just a bit too fast for them here. But this is a bit more lenient, but just by the bare minimum in contrast to Speed 2. And right now, Never now dropping their S rank, and Zozoian now having 70,000 points in their favor here. And they have been absolutely tearing this map apart now after a bit of a rough beginning on both sides. But even with that one miss in this section here, won't really do things for Zozoian. And even with that, Never is almost at a B rank here, as just this map too fast for a player like them. And unfortunately, I mean, even if they tried their hardest, it's going to have to come down to just a disconnect, honestly, on the side of Zozoian if they really want a shot here. But hey, it's not over until it is over. So there's still potentially lots to go here, as we are in the back half of the map. It's just things are looking very unlikely or so here. But here we go. Heading into our back half of the map now. Zozoian really putting things in taking matters into their own hands here, as Never and also Zozoian as well finding a few breaks here and there, but nothing really too much to worry about, as Zozoian has a lead of almost 200,000 points. And it's just unfortunate, this map, a lot of these fast gallops, lots of these fast bursts, and a lot of LNs here and there to really just throw off Never. Well, Zozoian is absolutely on a tear right now. 97.2 for them. Still in the S rank department, which is a bit scary. As heading into these gallops and these bursts here, Never managing to actually get some combo here, as it is a bit slow. It is a bit less fast than what we have seen in the other speed map or earlier on in this map, but this map is slowly coming to a conclusion here, as Zozoian gonna take commanding 200,000 points in their favor, and they're gonna take things to a match point situation here. And even with Never's best efforts here, it will not be enough, and Zozoian gonna make things a match point situation here. It is now 4-1. And oh boy, things are looking dicey here for Never. And what else then to go for the final rice pick of this map pool here? It is going to be beginning. And honestly, yeah, stick to the trend of going for those rice picks, but I'm a bit concerned here because this is, I would say, our hardest rice pick in this pool, so it's going to be a bit tricky for Never, but they have excelled pretty well in the rice department, so who knows, we could see this go in their favor and see them alive for another day, or Zozoyan is looking to close the door and move on to the losers quarterfinals. But here we go. This map looks fairly tame to start things off, but you can already see these pretty fast bursts here that can catch off a player if they're not careful. These fast doublets, and Zozoyan actually going to get caught up here and already lose and be behind by a full percentage here. And there's a drop ahead, now Never ahead by a full 2 percentages here, nearly. And they have absolutely blown this door open now, as this is also a very short map. So this is where it's one of those maps where combo will really take into a consideration here, just because of how much time you really have to build up that stamina or build up that combo. But unfortunately, Zozoyan really finds some action drops, but Never now starting to find some drops as well. Now things are starting to shrink now. 9,000 points, but Zozoyan trades it back by quite a wide margin, but it's still not safe. Never drops, and now it's flickering to Zozoyan. There's only a bit of map left to go. It's still within favor of just 5,000 points. That is one break, and Zozoyan switches it back to Never. But Never needs to hold on. They cannot afford any fall from a break. They cannot afford any bad judgment. The lead is shrinking, but Never. No, it's gonna go over to Zozoyan. At the final second, I think that was the final node of the map, it switches over to Zozoyan at the last second. It was about, I don't even want to know, a tenth of a second flickered over to Zozoyan, and that's all it took. That small window, and Zozoyan is going to take this match 4-1. I don't know if not 4-1, 5-1. Whoops. And unfortunately, knock out Never from JOKE4. But that was one hell of a conclusion for this match. Congratulations to Zozoyan for taking this match, as they will be moving on to the losers quarterfinals. Unfortunately, Never will be knocked out of the tournament, and Zozoyan will either verse. Actually, they will be versing Sparky next weekend. That match has been determined, as Sparky was knocked into the losers bracket by Mini Egg earlier this Sunday. But for that will wrap up this match, as we will be back in about half an hour or so for our next match. It is going to be Spanner Dude, also known as Ting Momentum, versus Wowie, a winner's bracket match happening in roughly half an hour or so. The final winner's bracket match, in fact. So stick around for that. We will be back in about half an hour for that match. So for now, I've been Aristotile commenting this match, and we will see you all later. Goodbye.